Yeah, I think you nailed it though. The minute that you have children, almost like you give up a piece of yourself, or you definitely become second and sometimes third and fourth if you already weren't first. So I agree 100%.
Welcome
to Mom Flails.
because that's what we do. We flail so that tomorrow we can prevail. Flail.
Flail, flail.
Here we go. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Mom Flails. This is Laura Fox. Please be gentle with our sound today because we were not together and Zoom was having some fun issues. Hello, everybody. I am so excited. I have the most amazing, most wonderful guest on the show today. Her name is Billy Sinclair. Many of you ladies will already know her. She is the incredible administrator of the Vancouver Women in Business Facebook group. There are over 14,000 members in the group, and I swear she connects with all of us. I'm so excited to have her on the show because, you guys, she's an experienced financial strategist. She's passionate about helping women escape debt, master the art of money management, and plan for our financial futures. She loves talking about wills and estates, and trust me, I have dealt with this. It's the pits, and she makes it fun. She loves educating women on the importance of wills and estates and important legal docs that sometimes we find out the hard way. So I'm super excited to have her on the show today. She's amazing. She's my friend. She has a beautiful heart. She loves helping women. So let's all give her a warm welcome. This is so exciting. Welcome, Billy Sinclair, to Mom Flails podcast. I'm so honored to have you today. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's exciting to be here too, Laura.
Woohoo! Okay, so let's get started. Why don't we start with introducing yourself and sharing a little bit about your story and who you are?
Okay, sure. I'll make it short. I'm obviously a little bit older, so I'm a grandma. I've got 3 little grandsons that are 6, 7, and 10. I live in Vancouver, BC. I'm not from Vancouver, but I'm from Alberta, and 20 years into life, I got an opportunity to get a transfer here, so that's how I ended up here. Spent many years as a single mom in my life with my 3 wonderful children. And so I've got lots of thoughts about being a mom and being a single mom and all of that.
That's, incredible. My mom was a single mom with 3 kids too. To all single moms listening to this right now and to you, kudos to you. It's a tough gig being a parent, being a mom, even with a partner. Right? So tell us a little bit about that, having 3 kids and being a single mom.
My son has 2 kids now, and one of my daughters has 1 now. And they always say to me, how did you do it? Like, how did you survive it? I can barely manage 1. I can barely manage 2. How did you manage 3? And to some degree, I think it is a little bit about you do give up a bit of yourself.
Yeah.
Because I know both of my kids, they sacrifice a lot. And sometimes they're like, what about me? And what about the things I wanted to do with my life? I'm like, yeah, you do kind of give that up a bit. Yeah. But I also had a fair bit of life before I started. So I started a bit late. I didn't have my first until I was 28. So from 18 to 28, I did a fair bit of living.
Yeah.
And so I think, but I always wanted to be a parent. So by the time I got to be a parent, I was ready. I think readiness has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, I think you nailed it though. The minute that you have children, you give almost like you give up a piece of yourself, or you definitely become second and sometimes third and fourth if you already weren't first. So yeah. I agree 100%. That's the thing, is these moms out there, and this is a big reason why I started this, Billy. So this is a really good segue, is because I have a lot of moms contacting me feeling like they use these words, they're failing, or they're on the floor crying and they don't know how to move forward, how to help their kids. There is so much going on, working and having children and the household and the bills. And the thing is as moms, we don't fail, we flail. The last time we spoke, you shared your story with me about where you were with these young kids and why you do what you do today. So that I would love for you to share with the world.
Well, I absolutely. I mean, my biggest thing I feel is that we have to be resourceful. And so, as a new mom, uh, as a new single mom,
Single mom. Mm-hmm.
I come from being married and having a 6-bedroom, 3-bathroom house and going, and just sitting around for really a few weeks when I knew that everything was coming to an end, just going, just really thinking a lot.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a low level depression, but not really, but just more like you have to sit and think, what am I going to do? How is this going to happen? How does this work? I'd heard the term single moms, but I really didn't know anything about how they got by. I didn't have any friends that were single moms. So I just started getting resourceful. I found single moms groups. I discovered that there was such a thing in our city as single moms housing. I applied, I got in. I sometimes, just in order to get the kids back and forth to school, I had to hire someone else. But then when I got home from work, I took in other kids so that I could pay the people that were taking my kids. This is a lot of resourcefulness, a lot of creativity too.
So for moms who are going through this right now, what would you recommend they do?
Well, the amazing thing I think today is that we have the internet. And when I was a new single mom, it was harder to find resources. We'd have to go through the newspaper, through the classifieds, looking for stuff. And I happened to bump into an ad that was a single moms group. And I was like, oh, right. Okay, that's what we do. There's groups that talk about these things. How cool is that? And I found the YWCA. Wow, they have a single moms department. This is amazing. So I really was such a rookie on this topic. Yeah. And I think today, now that we've got the internet, oh my God, and we've got Facebook and we've got connections that can be so easily made. Yeah. We just have to find out who's out there, who's doing what. I've been in so many Facebook groups where moms are actually helping each other, just like you're doing, Laura. Yeah. The resources are so much easier to find. That doesn't necessarily make it any easier to survive it, but at least we can pick those things up fairly quickly and find out who is surrounded by the people that have the resources that I need.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing too, and I think you nailed it, is finding a group of amazing women just like yourself who are going through the same thing, so that you can all go through it together and support one another. And listening to you, having gone through it, and we're going to get into the next part soon as to where you found yourself. You are proof. Like, if anything, the moms listening right now know that you will get through this, and you will persevere, and you will conquer this world. And Billy, you are proof that this can happen, right?
There's just life after struggle. It doesn't matter what it is. There's life after challenges. And I think that's something that in the moment, it's hard to see the future. When you've got kids that are 3, 5, and 8, it's really hard to see that they're going to be 23, 25, and 28 someday. And everything that I do with them today is going to contribute to the relationship that we build into the next 20 years. I also want to mention one other thing, Laura, is getting personal support. Like, finding the emotional support is super important, because if you thought it was important to be a good mom when there was a mother and father in the house, it kind of, the burden gets even heavier of how we got to be a good mom and do all those extra jobs. And maybe sometimes that father is either absent, or maybe he's a jerk, or maybe he's difficult. And so all of those are added things. And maybe he's got a new girlfriend. That was an added stress that I never even thought about when I was planning, how things are going to go. Yeah. Someone who sometimes they're going to come at you like they know how you should be. Yeah. And they know how you should have raised your kids for the last 10 years before they came along.
Is that what happened then? If you don't mind me asking, he ended up finding a girlfriend?
He ended up with someone else, and she knew better than I how I should be parenting my children. I'm like, really? Oh my God.
See, these things though, they made you who you are today. They made you so strong. And I'm, you know me, I'm like the glass is not half full, it's full. And it's almost like, thank goodness that you found out who he was early on, that you could, right? Versus being with somebody for 20, 40, 50 years and then realizing your whole life was a sham and you'd been with this person. So did you know what I mean? Like the relationship. And so we have to look at those things as being a blessing in disguise. Like, thank goodness this happened. When it did, we learn from these things and we move forward. And you found this housing and you're an incredible mom. Then what happened? Where did you find yourself?
Well, the kids started to get older. As I said, they miraculously do. And then I really could start to think more about my career and what did I want to do. And while I was raising them as a wife, I worked in the investment industry and my mom looked after the kids. She stayed with us. And then, of course, with the divorce and, of course, all that fell apart and my mom had her own place, I just decided the investment industry wasn't going to work for me as a single mom. I had to be at the office at 5:15 in the morning and stuff like that. So that just didn't work. So I ended up doing something that I think a lot of single moms end up doing is I took out a big student loan and I went back to school. And I really asked myself, like, what would I want to have learned to get into what career I might like and I think I could excel at.
Yeah.
And that's when I decided to focus on counseling and coaching and classroom facilitation and teaching. And I went into adult education. And that was a really, really good place for me. I found that there was a lot of demand for my skills. I didn't become self-employed for a while, so I got a lot of business skills. Like I took the business skills from where I was, brought them into the new career, and then years later I became self-employed. But in the beginning there, it was good to have the security of the housing and the security of a job.
So why did you choose that one? Like tell me what is your driving cause in this world?
I'm a contributor. You know, I want to make a better world.
This is exactly, I know. You know you do. That's why
I'm just like that. If I learn something, I'm like, oh my God, I need to share this with someone. I need to tell people about this.
Yeah.
So ending up being in teaching and coaching was a really great fit.
Yeah, we're the same person. I feel the same way about all of that too. These are the women that I'm inviting on this show as special guests. And I say special because you all have beautiful, special hearts, supportive, amazing women who want to share your successes and share your knowledge and share education and support other women. And that is who you are. Right? And so you're an admin on the Vancouver Women in Business Facebook page. You are so active in there. You nurture these beautiful relationships with these women. You're so supportive. You're a guide and you're a mentor. So this is a really great next discussion that I wanted to bring up, that for you to share with the listeners and moms and entrepreneurs and boss moms that are listening and teachers. How do you nurture this relationship to, it started with what, 3,000 followers and likes on the page, and you brought it to now almost
about 3,000. Yeah, 3,000 group members, we would call them, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, I didn't really find out about Facebook and the internet until really 2013. Up until there, I kind of knew some stuff about it, and I had a Facebook account, but I didn't really use it very much. And when I decided to be self-employed, and actually after my second divorce, then I thought, okay, I have a message, and I'm a good person, and I've got a lot to share.
Yes.
So people keep telling us to go to the internet because that's where all the people are. I'm like, yeah, but where are these people? Like, because even in Facebook, I didn't know about groups. I didn't know about anything. And so I just started, again, research, figuring out, well, where is this and how could that be, and Google searching. And when I found Facebook and I found groups and I found Vancouver Women in Business, I thought, okay, this is a great concept, and it's just a little bit underutilized because it wasn't a community. It was just a place where people posted stuff and then they didn't interact with each other.
Right.
I'm all about interacting and engaging and supporting.
So then what happened? Were you just like, excuse me, like, hi, can I help you?
Pretty much. I reached out to the founder and I just acknowledged that it was a great concept and a really cool group could come out of it if people would talk to each other.
Yeah.
And she was busy with other projects. And so I asked her if she wanted some help, just like you said. And she was a little bit hesitant, which I respect, because you don't want to turn over a group to a stranger.
Mm-hmm.
And give them, rights to monkey about.
Yeah.
But after a while, she came back and she's like, okay, let's give it a whirl. And so we've remained close, and she pops in every once in a while, and she loves what it's done. And I think I'm a kind of a tough administrator because these are the rules.
Yeah.
But as long as you just stick with the rules, I'm a piece of cake. Like I just contribute and just let everybody have it as our group. It's not my group, it's our group.
100%. And that's the part that I noticed. And that's the part that I love so much. And that's why I feel the way I do about this podcast, because it's just truly about all being there for each other and guiding each other and being supportive. And, I might essentially send you the Zoom link and be the host, but we're all in this together and helping each other. And so I love that. It's just, helping each other, and then we can do more for each other so long as we're just supportive, right?
Perfect.
So I know there's going to be so many moms listening to this going, how did she grow that group? Like, what does she do? Tell me your secrets. So do you have any advice or tips or tricks or anything that you have for all the ladies listening?
Well, I am a connector, so you do have to, I think, have that in your personality. It's hard to really see this. It's kind of like any kind of business where everything just happens one at a time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you made 100 new friends today. It's like one friend at a time, right?
Yeah.
So even if I go to a networking event and I would take home, say, 10 business cards from women, I would reach out to each one of them and say, hey, I'd love to support you growing your business. I know about this cool Facebook group. If you're active on Facebook, we should friend each other, and I could invite you to come and check out the group.
Right.
And I did that a lot. And then once a group gets a little bit of traction, Facebook actually starts showing the group in different places.
Oh.
They did that a bit. It was a bit more visible before than it is now. I've actually caught some ads that were advertising my group for me for other group members. That was crazy. Yeah, like not an ad, but like a post.
Yeah.
A suggested group.
Interesting.
Yeah, I guess, everybody uses that famous word, the algorithm.
Right.
So somehow, the more action, the more engagement, the more the group grows, the faster it grows. So for example, the group that I know of that has about 400,000 members, I remember when she had, 330,000, 300,000, and it just seems like it just grows faster and faster all the time. And I don't think I want my group to get that big, but I guess you can't stop it. You can't stop accepting group members. So I don't know. I'll cross that bridge when I come to it.
See, it's interesting that you say that, because with the Mom Flails, I'm part of some of those really big groups. Once I get like that, I just end up not being as interested because it's just so saturated with individuals who may not even categorize themselves as the group category. And then there's no way to even follow the threads on anything because it's just, there's a lot of ridiculous. Yeah. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I think, anybody listening and listening to Billy, you nailed it 100%. And me as being part of those groups, not interested, and then end up leaving the group. It's okay to be selective. I mean, I've come to learn in business, it's okay to say no. And creating this podcast, same thing for my group, for the Mom Flails Club group, it is exclusive because the goal is really to help women in business. And teachers connect with moms, and moms how to work with their children to make sure that they don't get lost in the system and that their mindsets are where they need to be so that we can make sure they grow up with gumption and love themselves and the world and know that we're going to be all right, with what's going on right now. And having individuals in there who may not be supportive to other women, The worst is being a supportive person when you meet somebody who's not and you can see them right away. Ugh, they exist everywhere. When I was in marketing and I would go to marketing networking events, I would meet these types of people and it was the absolute worst. The minute that you said we were in the same industry, it was just competitive and combative right away. And it was like, oh, the minute they learned we did the same thing, they didn't want to talk, they didn't want to connect, and they felt like we were in a competitive industry, competing against one another, and that was it. And then they would start putting down the business that I worked for to other people because they knew I was in the room. Yeah. Those are not my people. If anything, it's like you are my people because you, no matter, even if they work in the same field, they help the other individuals with wills and estates and planning, financial planning, which is what you specialize in. You've even connected with me on that same level and gone, we all help each other. You know, there's enough business out there for all of us. Join partnerships, collab with people in like industries, complementary industries, because your business will go farther. That's what we do, is we connect one another and we help each other. And this is why I adore you, Billy.
And I do want to mention that we are not exclusive to Vancouver. If you are either in Vancouver or you want to network with the women from Vancouver, right, we welcome you. So it is not a global group. So I don't accept memberships if they're not from North America. But if you're in North America, like what happens to me is, let's say I go go on a business trip to Dallas. Well, that's the first thing I want to know is that, well, who else is in Dallas that might be a networking type of woman that would like to maybe meet me for coffee? So then I'll go do a search in the Facebook to see where are the Dallas business groups and will they accept me because I'm coming to Dallas in a few months and I'd love to have a coffee with 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 women while I'm there.
Yeah.
So that's why I decided to open up our group so that when you're visiting Vancouver or if your company's going to have the conference in Vancouver, then you can actually also network with some people. Now that we're so, most of us can do business across the miles.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not like I have to see you in person to give you your whatever thing, your thing can be mailed to you and shipped to you direct.
Oh yeah, that's the world now. Because of the internet, we're so lucky we can connect. I mean, same thing. I've got teachers and moms and parents with my early reader program all over the world. So it's incredible what we can achieve now in business. There's so much you can do in business and just connecting with people. And you are a genius at connecting with having other women and all network together. So, if you want, is there anything else you want to share in terms of a message with the world today? One message, what would that be?
You put me on the spot. That's a good question. I guess it would be sort of along the theme of how we started this when you asked, how did we get to 14,000? Almost everything, and I know you'll know this for your life, almost everything that we've accomplished, it was on top of everything else. So we are always improving and growing, and that compound effect that they call, right? That you don't compare yourself. Don't compare someone's end game to your beginning game because they were at the beginning at some point too. So if you want to do something, it might morph and evolve as you go, but you got to start somewhere and then you start putting in the work and excelling at whatever the craft is that's required. Mm-hmm. And then things will come along. Things will come along to add to this and add to that. And eventually you'll have the big picture of your offering.
Yeah, I love that because it's so true. Day by day, step by step, baby steps. Make one call, send one email, have one meeting, and then it starts snowballing as you go, but you had to take action, right?
Yeah.
That
gotta start somewhere.
Gotta start somewhere. If you believe and you have a dream, it will come true. But if you sit on your tushy and don't do anything, it's not just going to fall in your lap. But if you take little baby steps.
Sometimes your baby steps show you what you don't know.
Yeah.
And that's when you have to go and say, okay, well, I don't seem to know that. So I'm going to have to go and find that and get skilled in that. I'm sure you're a lifelong learner. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really important. We always have to invest a little bit into our education.
Oh yeah, nonstop. If you're gonna bet on something or you're gonna invest in something, invest in yourself. Who better to invest in, right? Which is, I think, a really good segue, because I just realized we haven't touched upon something that is near and dear to me and that really matters. Because as a mom, I flailed going through this, and so I was pregnant. And you're an expert in this field, in wills and estate planning. And I was pregnant, and I was like, holy smoke, somebody said to me, what if something were to happen to you and your hubby? What would you do with your child? And I was like, I had not even thought about it. And here I am, pregnant, visiting lawyers and figuring it out, and, having discussions with my hubby about if something did happen to us, who would take care of our child? So these are things that are so important that women, moms, parents, it's like life insurance. It's something that it's hard to say we need this, because it's one of those things you don't want to even think about happening, obviously, but it is so important. And for peace of mind as a mom and as a parent, this is something that you help women do every day. Now, the biggest reason why I wanted to bring this up, I ended up spending a lot of money on a piece of paper that basically says where our kids can go, God forbid something happens to us. So, Billy, I'm going to give you the floor for a minute. I really want you to share with moms and women out there, because everybody, this is incredibly valuable information. As you all know, my show is not about hawking stuff or selling anything. And at the end of the day, I really want to make sure that all of you are protected and cared about. And Billy cares about all of us, and she has a beautiful heart. So let's learn from her to make sure that we are protected and our kids are too.
Okay, well, I did learn the hard way what happens to the family that's left behind when someone dies without a will. And as you said earlier, me being the teacher type, as I started to learn these things, I was like, oh my God, people have to know this. This is not fun. This is terrible. Mm-hmm. So my brother passed away. He died by suicide. And of course, it was a super awful thing to go through anyhow. Mm-hmm. But then when I just make a long story short, he ended up with a very small estate. And when I spoke to a lawyer about what to do with it, they were like, well, we need a $5,000 retainer to help you. And his estate was like about $6,000. I learned the hard way that the smaller estates that are left behind are the ones that people have a difficult time dealing with. When people have a few $1 million, they probably have their wills and estates in place.
Right.
And not always, but usually.
Yeah.
But I just found that as I went looking for legal assistance in this very difficult time, it was super expensive, and it made me realize how many things people don't take care of because they can't come up with the money. And so I found a service that helped me immensely. It was extremely affordable. I never even heard of such a thing in the legal industry where you could just have a plan where you just pick up the phone like a hotline to call a lawyer. Like, what? Really?
Yeah.
And anyway, they helped me immensely. I was able to deal with my brother's estate by myself without hiring a lawyer, just by guidance of phone. I decided I better add that to my portfolio. And so every day I'm talking to people about wills and estates, about access to affordable legal advice, about the consequences of not taking care of those will things. Yeah. And sadly, I have had, even since then, a girlfriend pass away, and her will was not complete. It was at the law firm awaiting signature, and she had put it off for a long time.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
It's like you mentioned, life insurance. It's one of those subjects we don't like to talk about.
Yeah.
But none of us is immortal. So.
Yeah, we have car insurance. What's the difference? We have to protect ourselves. We have to protect our kids. It's like we said at the beginning. When you have kids, you kind of lose a piece of yourself. And that huge piece is worrying about everything. The thing is, as moms, we want to protect everybody around us. And with this, it's peace of mind.
It's peace of mind. I like that you said that.
Honestly, the minute I had mine drafted up and signed, it's peace of mind. I don't have to worry about it. And I can go on living, right? You know, it happened so fast. I was in that car accident. I got hit by a stolen car, drunk driver. It changed my life, and ultimately we just never know what can happen. So at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we're protected and we're protecting our loved ones. What I love the most, though, Billy, is that you took your mess and you're turning it into your message to help other women.
If we can just think of that, one other piece of what you just said there, Laura, is that men are out of the house more. Oftentimes, they're working in different kinds of fields than women are working in.
Mm-hmm.
They are more at risk on their jobs. And it's highly likely that if someone's going to pass away, it is going to be the husband. And who is at the effect of that is the wife.
Right.
And don't think everything that people have is joint, because it's just not. Mm-hmm. And so anything that's not beneficiaried or jointed is not going to be easy to access if there was no will. So it's the women that are often the ones that realize we have to get this done, because if me and the kids couldn't access your bank account, what would we do?
I mean, the truth is, us women, we take the lead sometimes. What house to buy? What car makes sense for the family? Will it fit the stroller? We definitely have the reins. I mean, this is something, I'm just going to say it. Like, we make the decisions. And I'm taking the reins right now, so my hubby goes and gets a vasectomy. Because, come on. It's time. I'm all about honesty, and ladies, I know you're there, I know you're listening, and I know you're giggling, because it's so true. Sometimes we need to hand hold our partners and our men to do things, and so I think this is one of those things that we do need to hand hold and move forward.
We take care of. And I like that you said we take care of the decision, and then we take care of making sure that it happens.
I know. A little bit of hand holding, and that's what we have to do. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being you and sharing your heart. And you're incredible in every way, shape, and form. And I love that you were able to join us today on this show. And everybody who is listening, join our Mom Flails Club Facebook group. And if you want to connect with Billy or any of our other guests, go to www.mumflails.com, fill out the form, and I'll make sure to send you your one monthly newsletter every month. So if you want to connect with Billy, definitely fill out that form, and we'll also have a link to her Facebook group, our Facebook group, and her information so that you can connect if you want a will or just some information. Trust me, when I got mine done, it was massive peace of mind. I went through super expensive lawyers, and there is a great way out. This is it. Again, we only send one newsletter every month. I cannot stand spam. You sign up for something, and then you get a million emails after saying, yeah, I want this one thing. We won't do that. This is what this podcast is all about. Supporting each other, rooting for each other, that we all succeed. There's no competitive, combative nature, and let's just all help each other, because at the end of the day, who cares? Detach yourself from everything and just be you, be kind, be authentic, and let's work together. And we're here for you always. You are unbelievable, Billy, and I really appreciate you so much. And I know thousands of others do too. And you are making a difference in this world.
I appreciate that very much. Appreciate you noticing.
There are thousands and thousands noticing, and now thousands more being on this show. We're all in this together.
Appreciate you, Laura.
I appreciate you too. Thanks for being on the Mom Flails podcast.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. I have a dream, and that dream is for all of us to connect. I miss connecting with people, and I am inspired by you. Go inspire somebody too. I'm not going to ask you to subscribe, because you know whether or not you want to do that on your own. And if you miss me, then I'll talk to you again.